Barbie isn't Mattel's only major success story. The Monster High line has achieved similar recognition, even a show on Nickelodeon, season one of which is now available on DVD. And joining me right now is Shay Fontana, the showrunner. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Jaden.
So, just first talk to me about what it's like handling a show like this that has such a large fan base. I'm sure you maybe feel some pressure from fans.
Oh, there is absolutely pressure from fans. So, Generation One of Monster High, which was launched in 2010, had a massive fan base. It really just made such a huge cultural splash, and people love Monster High. So, I feel as I'm going into this Generation Three of Monster High and really getting into the stories that I want to honor what people loved about Generation One. And I think what's most important to me to bring from the Generation One to Generation Three is this idea of diversity and inclusion. And the core idea of Monster High being that Monster High is a place where all of us belong, no matter what kind of monster we are.
And children's television really is a powerful place to teach lessons for the next generation of people. And so, what are some lessons that young watchers and audiences can really get from this?
In Monster High, we really try to, have a broad range of kind of episodic ideas and themes that we are exploring. But I think our most universal lesson is the idea that, we all sometimes feel like we don't belong. We all sometimes feel like we're a little bit out of place. But when we are authentically ourselves, we can find others like us and find that inclusion and a world where we all belong in Monster High.
And so, what was your first introduction into this whole franchise here? And what was the initial reaction to receiving the offer to just join the team and be a part of it?
You know what? This is actually a story I've not told, I don't think, publicly. I wrote a movie for Monster High several years ago that never got made. So that was my first introduction to Monster High, and really getting into the characters. So it was back before G3. I had written a Monster High movie that was, kind of in some of the changing of the business, just didn't end up getting made. But that was really where I started on Monster High, and then evolving from that point to this brand new reimagining of the series and really taking those characters that we looked at previously and finding how they fit in this new world, in this new generation, and finding how we could reimagine them to be even more diverse and even more, expansive and representative of kids today.
And for people that are unfamiliar with the series, just kind of give them a backstory of what they can expect if it were to be their first time watching.
So if you get the Monster High DVD, you'll see in the first episode that it's all about Claudine. And Claudine it's her 15th birthday, and she has received this gift from her dad, which used to be a necklace that belonged to her mom. So with the help of this kind of enchanted talisman, she finds her way to Monster High. And, her whole life she's been raised as a human. She thinks she's a human, but she never really felt like she fit in. So when she finds Monster High, she actually realizes that she's not the human she always thought she was, that she's actually part werewolf. And it's this journey with Claudine, from Claudine's perspective in the first couple of episodes, as she finds this new world, finds this incredible place, and finds all these new monster friends. So that's where we start with season one, but we have, characters like Draculaura, who is a vampire who actually wants to be a witch. We have Frankie, who's a Frankenstein monster, and they're kind of figuring out how these weird pieces of themselves fit together. We have Cleo, who is our mummy monster, who's, really been in a position of privilege as the daughter of the pharaoh for a long time, but is figuring out how to, be even more kind and open to other people. So, there's a lot of monster friends that we meet along the way and have a lot of fun with.
And what's always interesting is how different types of storytelling hold up even in a digital world, because we all realize that we have less time to tell stories because attention spans are everywhere. But to still be able to tell stories like this, even in the digital era, what does that say about just this whole franchise and the stories that are being told?
I think that when kids see themselves on TV, when they see themselves in the characters, they can really, the attention span is bigger. They're ready to have stories that represent how things really are in their world. Of course, we do that through a fantasy lens. Obviously, they are monsters, but we really want to hit on kind of these honest and truthful topics about being a kid and about being a young teen.
For sure. And again, season one now available on DVD. Shay Fontana, the showrunner for Monster High season one on Nickelodeon. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.